Hey guys, so I'm gonna explain my decision to stay in Florida and to be faithful and to show people it's a piece of paper. It's okay to walk away and not do what Aaron Hernandez did, but to be in church and to be a good person. I mean, that's very the simplicity of my decision. But regardless of whether or not people saw that as a brilliant decision to show you that you can still be safe in life around Jesus, I want to explain why I'm not going back up to Springfield. So I lived in just quickly. I'm going to explain my experience, and this is going to come from my eyes. This city is different or the black culture in Florida is different than the black culture in Ohio. And when I went into in the school, I went to the bathroom and I cried because I cried, right? It was just one of those things where it's like, I don't know if anybody's ever gone to school up north, but I'll just be blunt. I didn't realize how racist this state was until I went to Ohio. And I don't know if it's like, I didn't realize how racist black people were to me until I went to Ohio. So, and it's not racist like it's just like, I'll explain it. Trust me, I'm a tough person and everything, and there is like surface level stuff, but I didn't realize how programmed I was and how we were until I went to Ohio, right? So I'm going to explain. This has nothing to do with being slow or anything. It's the fact of like this, right? And I'm going to talk about Detroit. So the reason why I'm not coming up is this. When I went and I talked with black men and women, they're really smart in Ohio. So you going up to someone that's black down here and saying they're unintelligent is a very offensive thing. Like, I went up to Ohio and just have more faith that Ohio is smart. Like, it could be smarter than Florida. There's a massive difference. And it's a different type of intelligence. So this is what I saw in contrast to everything I've seen. They would have a hard time accepting this in this state. This is the reality where someone 6'5", you can see it very clearly in Ohio. Someone 6'5", say I go to high school, girl goes to high school. Say a girl that's like Megan Fox goes to high school, she's like just a pretty girl, whatever. She could be blonde for that matter. And she walks onto like public property. And some guy that's 6'5", basketball player, and maybe some guys in the back, not football, basketball, they come and they step off the bleachers, they kind of get in her way and they talk and they exchange some words, and he just wants to see how this new person treats him. So that's like if someone from like Florida went to Ohio and he's like, I just want it, and he's the breadwinner for that school, like 6'5", Leatherman jacket. And she's like, you need to move or I'm going to like call the security guard. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm just trying to like have a conversation or whatever. Like, I'm not, it's like, you know what, that's it. The sheriff comes, they don't know anything. The sheriff comes and he talks with the girl and she's like, yeah, I wanted him to move and everything. He made me feel like this. He won't give me 6 feet. And he basically says, okay, so what's the big issue? Well, he was supposed like, okay, so then talk about it. Like, then apologize. Right? And then it'll be this. It'll be like, apologize. It'll be like, I'm sorry. You know? Like, so are you going to apologize? Are you going to make up? Like, equal? Like, are you going to... And some people would be like, oh, give something. It's like, the only reason why I'm telling you now is because it's now looking to me that you are the problem. So since you won't cooperate with law enforcement in what I'm asking you, I'm going to ask you to leave now, just to see whether or not I can have a conversation with you and be okay. If that person has an issue, like let's say that he'll say, if you have a problem, then leave, right? It's one of those weird things where you're just like, I've never been like, I cried because I'm like, this doesn't happen here, but for many different reasons, it's a different class. But he's like, if you don't like it, right, then leave. Like, if you don't like somebody, then just leave. Like, just, it's okay. Like, he apologized. We don't have to. It's my decision. Leave. Like, what's the big issue, right? So, and the point is, he doesn't have to go and put anybody in and do the paper. He doesn't, whatever it is. But this is different like this. Now, the amount of 6'5" versus like, oh, he was coming. It's like, yeah, but what's the big issue, right? He apologized or something. You talk about it, but this is the yeah, that's the reality that I saw right away, where it's like, you know, they want you to talk about it. Like a lot, I'm sure, like a lot more in Ohio down here. Down here it's beep, beep, beep. But they're right down here. But that's a whole different conversation now. They're right. No, I'm giving you guys closure. You don't have to call the police department. You can do what they say, but they're right. I mean, you'd have to see like when they're going beep, beep, beep. All right, so here's another thing. This is why I'm not going to Springfield, and I'm trying to leave to another country and stuff. They're going to tell me it's because your state is, because of the media, is programmed to make people try to be. And then Ohio, it's the same thing. So let's talk about Detroit. This is the only reason why I'm outside, and I'm asking whether or not you guys can verify it with Naples, Florida. And they're going to say this, the same thing. Isaiah, right? Because you're from Detroit. This is a metropolitan, right? So they're going to say this. We understand. I know they're going to say this. We understand that you've learned all of these things about people from Detroit, Michigan. But if this person who's white scares you, then don't. It's gonna make you feel it's gonna embarrass you. Like, it's like, oh, if this white person from Detroit, even though you're black, scares you, then don't come here. If this black person, very slowly, from Detroit, Michigan, scares you, then don't come here. And if it's like, if this business makes you angry that you have to work hard, then don't work here. And it'll be basic thing. Like, if you don't like it, like, it'll be like a sheriff. If you don't like the fact that this is a metropolitan with work, then don't work, then don't live here. And it'll just get worse from here. It's like one of those corrections. And it's not to hurt you. It's to show you what you sound like. We don't know you like that. But we're going to say the truth to you. We call the cops all the time here. And why? Because of an airport reality. We don't understand what their perspective in life is. But in this metropolitan, you can't say that here. You can't do that here. And when it comes to dispatch, you can't lie to us here. This is the one thing that I respect metropolitans. You can't lie to us. So this is the part where I'm just going to end this video. You can't, Isaiah, you can't sit here and lie to me about finance. We're in a metropolitan, right? You can't tell me anything new. You can't tell me anything. This is Detroit. This is the only reason why Coach Nichols in this city is, they're trying to train people. This is a foundation of the United States of America. You're not gonna be right going against it. Even if you want to go against it because of something that happened today, you can't go against it finite into the future because it's a metropolitan. So just say that it's one of the greatest cities of all time in absolute, and Motor City, and it has history, and move on. And if you don't agree with it, then don't live here. Straight up. And I'm sure they've talked about this. My perspective is a cost to arguing whether or not something will be great into the future. I know they're going to change everyone's diction, but it's, if you don't believe that this city don't live here. Like, it's transparent. And even with the cops and everything, we know the reality of crime. We know the reality of crime. You have to call no, we don't care what that environment. You have to call the police department. We have to call SWAT. I know this is like a school in like New York City right now. After freaking 9/11, you can't say that here. It doesn't matter what they look like, bro. You say this stuff like that inside of a building, bye-bye. I want them to clarify this and stuff. So the reason why I'm trying to keep my diction finite, I wanted to have diction finite from Naples, and it's impressing a lot of people that I'm still right. But they're going to say, even though Ohio says what they say, if you do not, right, abide by Detroit and what it is on paper, then don't come here. Right? And don't come here meaning like, don't sit up here and say that you know everything about Detroit and then get mad when people say you know nothing about it. Don't get angry. Right? Don't get angry when you're like, you have to call SWAT. You have to call a whole bunch of fire. It takes a long time, or like you really need to make sure that you say the right information. But down here, you can kind of say whatever you want to say here. They'll say here in Detroit, Michigan, right? It's not like that. I'm sure it's because of the program stuff. That's not true. But long story short, is there anything else I want to say? But they're going to unprogram me when I go to Detroit, Michigan. You're one of us, meaning that you are here. So why would anybody do anything to someone that's lived in Michigan before? Why would we do that to someone that went to a good school? Like, this is 3.5 hours from Detroit. Like, why would we say those things to you? Why would Detroit? Because Detroit will probably say he could work in Detroit from Wittenberg. Why would we sit here knowing that you can just go? You could probably go to school and work in. I'm sure of it. Like, you go to Wittenberg and then work in Detroit. Why would we say these things? And even Chicago, I'm sure they've tried this, where you can go back and forth for a job or something from. It's like Orlando, like going from Naples to Orlando. Why? Don't unscramble what I'm saying, but they're basically saying that you're in a reality. I'm going to talk about the black people now. So the reality of black people was when I went up here, I'm being really unfiltered, is they didn't know, and this will be the same in Detroit, we don't know what you're talking about. So this is just the reality of like, oh, okay, so let me just be right to a stranger, that everyone's going to, we don't know what you're talking about. Like, we don't. And it's not like anything, and I wish they would explain it, but it's like, I've never been to Florida, so I don't believe you. What do you mean believe you? I think you're making that up. Now, that's why I'm not going back, but they'll be like, no. Like, they might even say, I would have moved there or something. So for me, it's like, I'll be like, no, you can come to Naples, right? You can, like, come here and everything, and, you know, you can, there's, like, all this stuff, and, like, I to some degree, I just don't believe you. Detroit would probably clear my name on that, but the reality in Springfield is I heard a couple people saying that they've never been, even in Michigan, they've never been to Florida. So this hurricane messed with people's minds, but that, yeah, so that's pretty much it. But the black culture, like, you can see what I said about the whole, like, I cry in the bathroom because of it. Like, I bawled my eyes out because, like, it's something that, like, you take for granted, I think, when you're in, like, Florida, or, like, not take for granted, but, like, you just, when it's in your face, you're just like, wow, that's how racist, like this part of the country is. You know, so they'll break down the psychology and why someone would have a conversation, but it's the premise of the military. In the military, you're equal, right? We don't care about how dollar sign and the different, okay? I'm the guy that doesn't know anything about your past, and I'm going to talk. I asked you this. Hey, I asked you this. And no, stop. What are you going to do right now? What are you going to do right now? And if you both have a problem and you won't be empathetic and apologize, I'm just going to ask you both to leave. So, yeah, so it's a different class. People have money, but money shouldn't change you, pretty much, is what they'll probably say. What do you mean? That's why I saw that immediately, but my psychology is right for these three states. But yeah, it's just something, just re-listen to this and stuff and show them the parts in here, like, it's just, when I go to Detroit, they're going to want to, like, sit down and talk to me about, like, how we like, holding their face, like, he can't say this stuff here. He can't say any of this. Isn't that crazy? Even in Ohio, he can't say any of that. right? Like even like for football, like dude, if it's like I mean